Welcome back to Prep Recruiting Insider, PRI here at NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale. I'm your coach for PRI, Rick Gailey, along with our Prep Recruiting Insider, Renee Nato. And we are so happy to be joined today by the head coach of the Nicholls State Colonels, Tim Rebowe. That still sounds pretty good, doesn't it? The head coach.
Yeah.
After years of being an assistant, known Tim a long time, way back in the day, as they say now. And we're happy to have you with us, Tim. Thanks you for joining.
No, thank y'all for having me back again this year. Always a pleasure to come visit with y'all.
Tim, I was fortunate enough to do some games on TV this year at Nicholls State, and I could see the maturation process from the early part of the season, and was fortunate enough to do the last game you played against Southeastern. It was the last second field goal. But explain how this team kind of came together as the season went on.
I thought it was a whole process. You know, we had steps we had to take along the way. First of all was getting the guys to buy into what we were selling. You know, the places I've been before, we've had some success coming from Lafayette, and I want to take that formula and put it here. Not that we know it all, but we knew it worked, okay? So we tried it. So I had 23 seniors who bought in and really gave us everything, and they kind of set the tempo for us. I think early on in the year, we really didn't know who we were. You know, you had to figure out where we were at quarterback, who was running back, started gelling a little bit. You know, we got off, the year before was so bad, you know, and then we kind of got off to a slow start, and some guys, but they hung in there and they believed, and we could see us getting better every week, and we did finish strong at the end of the year.
And when we had you on the show last year, it was right after signing date, and things were going 1,000 miles an hour. You just gotten the job in November, and one of the things that started the turnaround was assembling a coaching staff. Won't you talk about that process? Heavy South Louisiana, in the coaching staff as well. They know the area well, but they also know the game very well.
You know, when you're putting together a staff, and you always would say, hey, one day if I become a head coach, these are some guys that I want to work with me, some guys that you know, and I guess some guys you say, coach, that have your back. You know what I'm saying? The guys that believe in you and what you do. And my offensive coordinator, Rob Christoffel, has done a great job running the offense, putting it together. We run the spread offense. On that side, too, we got Lee Roussel from out of Rummel, but he's originally from Lutcher, and he does the offensive line. Tight end coach, Russ Gisclair, somebody who's from the Bayou, who played there. Wide receiver coach, Sean Murphy, work together in Lafayette, does a fantastic job. And then running back coach Alan Ricard. So we put those guys together on offense. They started gelling together, and I'm really happy to say that all the coaches are returning for another year. So you know, you're not going to have that turnover. You get to build a little bit of that continuity. Defensively, Tommy Ryback, my defensive coordinator, he does a fantastic job. We worked together in Lafayette for a couple years. Anthony Camp, D-line, worked together with us. Brian Wallace, outside linebackers, and I went and got a local guy, Marcus Scott. Used to be the head coach from West Jeff, does a good job for us in the secondary. So you know, good coaches, but also good people can form that relationship with the players, and you know, it's always about recruiting too. I'm sure we're going to get into that a little bit later.
Now, you were a head coach in high school. It's a little different where you are now, but you were at Nicholls 95 to 2010, and then you were at UL for a while. How did that experience, how did you borrow from that experience moving forward once the train started moving in the 2015 season? How did that help you?
Well, I think you look in the past. Back when I was assistant at Nicholls, then I went to Monroe for 3 years, and then been in Lafayette for 11. And Coach knows this, nothing that we have is ours. You know what I mean? You always, we like to say we borrow, right? From
It's called research. When you take things from many people, it's research.
Research. So, you know, and look, you always do that. I go back to the days when I was in high school. You've done some of the things that you liked. You know, you kept them, and some of the things you didn't like, and you throw those out, and you kind of put it together. And so we were ready to do that. And then I got some good guys on staff that had some great ideas, and you know, it's by no means a dictatorship. We all in this together.
And you talked about trying to identify yourself in the beginning of last year, and that is a huge task. Not only getting to know each other as a staff, but getting to know the players, because it doesn't do any good to have something ready for a game if your players can't execute it. Talk about how you as a coaching staff started the process of being able to identify what your players actually could do in a very limited amount of time.
Yeah, you know, when you go in and you know, hey, we want to run the spread offense, we knew that, but then we got to start putting the puzzle together. And then we got to find out what offensive linemen can gel together. And we talked about this earlier. One of the guys, Ryan Hanley from last year, who stepped up, and we moved him into that center spot. Boy, and that was just huge. Getting our quarterbacks on the same page with the offensive coordinator during the game. That was a big task, and it took a little bit of a process. You know, you can't just throw the whole offense. Here's the playbook. Let's go run it. So, you know, spring was very, very interesting for us. You know, because it was completely new. You know that, all the terminology, all the stuff. And then we knew defensively we were going to run the 3-4 and just kind of putting those guys in the right places. But one of the things that we wanted to do this year was be simple. And we wanted to, you know, and you know this, is not how much we knew, it's how much those guys know, and we can translate that and put them on the field and do that. So we thought we stayed simple offensively, defensively, and we did get better as the year went on.
You know, we're in our 4th year here, Tim, and people familiar with Nicholls State, but for all those watching, all those student athletes watching right now, why is Nicholls State a place that maybe it's a little different than it used to be, and a place you need to look at?
Well, you know, I'm going to start off with the top, and I know some say, hey, you get paid to say this, but administrative-wise, you know, it starts at the top. And our president, Dr. Murphy, he believes in athletics, and he believes in these young men, and he supports it. And look, he is at everything. Everything we do, he's there. Those kids know, and it's very, very important. From the athletic director, Rob Bernardi, he's out there in the community getting people support, and it is changing a little bit. We changed the culture a little bit. We changed it in the community. Beautiful campus. We are upgrading our facilities. We getting, you know, new turf right after spring. We're doing the new locker room. All the things that are important to get people to come to your school.
Yeah, it is an arms race when it comes to facilities.
Absolutely.
You better not stop getting better.
Right.
Did you ever think Houston Baptist would ever come around when you know, here you are, a head coach, you're excited, the kids are excited, even though they had such a difficult season the year before, and then the first 5 games you fall short. Did you ever think when the first win was coming?
Well, you know, early in the year, I thought we had a shot. You know, when we went to Incarnate Word, and in the last 4 minutes of the game, we returned an interception for a touchdown. It got called back, and we lose that game. And then the week before that, when we go to Stephen F. Austin, and again, with 30 seconds to go in the game, they scored and beat us. And, you know, I knew in that locker room right there after the game that the kids believed and we had a chance to win right there, and I knew it was going to happen soon. So my hat's off to them. They just stayed with it and fought through it. And you would think when we beat Houston Baptist, we won the Super Bowl. But I was so happy for those kids because they had been through so much over the years.
You know, we're going to talk about recruiting in the next segment, Tim, but one thing you've been targeting is kids from winning programs, and when you bring that leadership and that winning aura with you, that kind of makes a difference in the locker room.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head, because we talk about, you don't actually just go say, I'm just going to go to a John Curtis because they win and I'm going to go get those players. But when you look around at guys that we have on this team from the St. Augs and from Destrehan and from Hornville and from all those places along the river that win, Lutcher, just on and on and on. That does help you in the locker room. It gets those kids believing, hey, we can have success. They know what it takes to win.
Yes, because they know that it takes work to win. They're willing to be coached,
right?
Because they've been coached. No,
right.
It's not just throw out the ball and
right.
they go with it, but they're willing to do the things that are necessary off the field, especially to be able to win.
And I think that's one of the things we had to change last year. I thought some of our guys in the past thought they were working, and they thought they knew how to work, and they thought they knew what it takes to be successful. But in the end, it really didn't. So we had to change that whole mindset to get. And I go back and I look at some of the things we did a year ago, and how much further we are at this point. That our kids, how much harder they work, and because you know it's all up here, and you just got to keep grinding them.
Yeah, well, if they have it below the neck, then the head comes into play. And when we start going down the list of the players that from this signing class, we're going to talk about that balance between the mental and the physical, because that's so important. Starts with a really good head coach, starts with assistants that know the game and know how to coach, because they're with the kids all of the time. And it takes a group of kids, as you mentioned, Tim, willing to work and
right.
do what's necessary to win.
Right. And look, the staff that we have put together, it's unbelievable. The kids believe in them. You know, they have to believe in the system and what you're doing. And you're right, they're around them. More them and the strength coach. You know, right. the most important, and we got to go in and Greg Carasquillo there also.
Absolutely. Great things going on down on the Bayou, and we're going to talk more about it, especially with this signing class this year of the Nicholls State Colonels. That's Tim Rebowe, head coach of the Nicholls State Colonels. We're going to be back with Tim after this timeout here at NOLA Motorsports in Avondale. This is PRI.